Hi, everyone, and welcome to Module 3 of our Business Research course. This week, we're going to be focusing on research design and our sampling methods. So the chapter we're going to be focusing on is Chapter 4, a research design and overview. And so in this module, one of the first things we're going to learn about is that once our research problem is clearly defined and the right questions have been formed, which we've been doing over the last few weeks, the next step is design a plan for how the research will actually be conducted. And so this is where research design outcomes are are really defined and developed along the way. So a strong research defined design acts as a blueprint for gathering information. And so we need to create a really solid starting point, a really solid framework for how we're going to actually collect information. And so chapter 4 and chapter 5 is about sampling design. They go hand in hand. You need a plan. And so when you start doing research, you need to say, here's my plan for how to collect that data, which leads into chapter 5, which is all about sampling methods. So there's a variety of ways in which we could collect information from people. It could be interviews, questionnaires, online forms. There's a variety of ways that we could collect information. The problem that you run into is if you don't define the ways in which you're going to collect that information, which is what we're doing in chapter 4 and 5. So we need a sampling method. We need a way that we are consistently collecting information. It doesn't help us if we collect information from interviewing one person and then we have someone submit 2 survey questions and then we do some observations of 3 or 4 people and then we interview another person. Those answers and the results of those different observation methods and sampling methods are not going to be comparable to one another. The results you'll get from a interview question is going to be different than the results you'll get from a survey question. And so that's why no matter what step of the research we're in, we have to define it and really lay out the plan for it because we need to be consistent and we need to be repeatable. So we could create groundbreaking research today, but the problem is repeatability. People want to know that your research was done well and that it can be repeated because if you are the only person that's able to conduct this research and get these results, well, then there is maybe skewed data or it's a one-off piece of information, right? That's why when we see news articles that's like this ingredient could be bad for you, it's not definitive. There may have been one study out there that says it was bad for you, or maybe 1 or 2, but there's not a wide variety of studies because they haven't done it yet. But they need that comparability to be able to do those studies. Bringing it on back to this module, our sampling methods. There's a couple different ways in which we could sample people. You have simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified, cluster sampling, area sampling, convenience sampling, quota sampling, snowball sampling. You're going to learn about those in the lesson module. And you're going to be choosing which which method of sampling are you going to utilize and implement in your research. So we have 2 discussion posts this week. I'm very excited to be discussing with you. Our assignment for the week is continuing our research. We're at the next stage of our research. So make sure you are completing that. If you have any questions or you'd like for me to review any aspect of your research or just want to have a general discussion, please feel free to send me a message or email me. I'm happy to help. With that being said, I'm looking forward to our discussions this week, and I will see you in our next module.